After 6 months of therapy sessions, Dr. Amanda said something that changed everything. Your issues with intimacy can't be solved through talking alone. You need hands-on experience. When she suggested we meet at her house, I thought she meant role-playing exercises. I was wrong. Welcome to Secret Stories, where hidden confessions and forbidden moments come to life. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to join our community of secret keepers. My name is Marcus, and I'm 25 years old. 6 months ago, I started seeing a therapist because my relationships kept failing in the same predictable pattern. I'd meet someone, things would go well initially, but the moment things got intimate or serious, I'd panic and sabotage everything. My friends kept telling me I had commitment issues, but it felt deeper than that. It felt like I was fundamentally broken when it came to connecting with people on a meaningful level. That's how I ended up in Dr. Amanda Richardson's office on the 7th floor of a sleek medical building downtown. Dr. Amanda is 43 with perfectly styled blonde hair, sharp blue eyes, and the kind of professional confidence that immediately puts you at ease. She always wore tailored blazers and pencil skirts, carried herself with this elegant poise, and had this way of listening that made you feel like you were the most important person in the world. From our very first session, I knew Dr. Amanda was different from other therapists I'd tried. She didn't just nod and take notes while I talked. She engaged, challenged my thinking, asked questions that forced me to examine myself in ways I'd never considered. She had this incredible ability to see through all my defense mechanisms and get straight to the heart of what was really bothering me. Marcus, she said during our 3rd session, you're not afraid of commitment. You're afraid of vulnerability. There's a difference. She was right, of course. Every time a relationship started to get real, every time someone wanted to know the authentic me rather than the carefully constructed version I presented to the world, I'd find a reason to run. It wasn't that I didn't want love. I was terrified of what would happen if someone really knew me and decided I wasn't worth staying for. Over the months, Dr. Amanda and I developed what I thought was a good therapeutic relationship. She was professional but warm, insightful without being judgmental. I found myself looking forward to our sessions, not just because they were helping, but because talking to Dr. Amanda felt like the most honest conversations I'd ever had with anyone. Which is why what happened last Tuesday completely blindsided me. I'd been seeing Dr. Amanda for exactly 6 months when she said something that would change everything between us. Our session had been going normally. We were discussing my latest dating disaster, analyzing why I'd chosen to ghost someone who had genuinely seemed interested in getting to know me better. Marcus, Dr. Amanda said, setting down her notepad in a way that immediately got my attention. I've been thinking about your progress, and I'm concerned that we've hit a plateau. What do you mean? I asked. You understand your patterns intellectually. You can articulate why you sabotage relationships, identify your triggers, analyze your behavior. But understanding and changing are 2 different things. She leaned forward slightly, her blue eyes fixed on mine. Your issues with intimacy can't be solved through talking alone. Something about the way she said intimacy made my pulse quicken, though I couldn't pinpoint why. So, what do you suggest? You need hands-on experience, she said, her voice taking on a tone I'd never heard from her before. Softer, more personal. You need to practice vulnerability in a safe environment, with someone you trust. Like role-playing exercises? I asked. Dr. Amanda smiled, but it wasn't her usual professional smile. This was something different, more intimate. Something like that, but not here in the office. The clinical setting is part of what's limiting your progress. You associate this space with analysis rather than experience. She opened her desk drawer and pulled out a small piece of paper, writing something down with deliberate care. I want you to come to my home office tomorrow evening. 7 o'clock. We're going to try a different approach to your therapy. She handed me the paper, and when our fingers brushed as I took it, I felt an electric shock that had nothing to do with static electricity. Dr. Amanda, is this normal procedure? Marcus, she said, her voice gentle but firm. Nothing about your case has been normal procedure. Traditional methods aren't working. If you want to break through this barrier, you need to trust me. I looked down at the address she'd written. It was in an upscale residential neighborhood about 20 minutes from her office. What exactly are we going to do? We're going to work on your ability to be present in intimate moments without your defensive mechanisms taking over. But that requires a setting where you can truly relax, truly be yourself. She paused, studying my face. Unless you're not ready for that level of commitment to your healing. The way she phrased it made backing out seem like another example of my avoidance patterns. No, I'm ready. I trust you. Good, she said, and there was something in her expression that I couldn't quite read. Marcus, what we're going to do tomorrow night might push you outside your comfort zone, but that's where growth happens. I left that session feeling confused and anxious. Part of me was excited about the possibility of a breakthrough, but another part was unsettled by how different Dr. Amanda had seemed. The professional distance that had always existed between us felt like it had shifted somehow. The next evening, I stood outside Dr. Amanda's house at exactly 7 o'clock, my heart racing with nervous energy. Her home was a beautiful craftsman-style house with a wraparound porch and mature oak trees. Soft light glowed from the windows, creating an atmosphere that was completely different from the stark fluorescent lighting of her medical office. I knocked on the door, expecting to be led to some kind of home office setup similar to her professional space. Instead, Dr. Amanda opened the door wearing something that made me do a double take. Gone was the tailored blazer and professional attire. Instead, she was wearing a flowing silk blouse in deep blue that brought out her eyes, paired with black slacks that were more form-fitting than anything I'd seen her wear before. Her hair was down, falling in soft waves around her shoulders instead of pulled back in its usual neat bun. She looked different. Still elegant, still beautiful, but approachable in a way that was entirely new. Marcus, she said, her voice warm and welcoming. Come in. Thank you for trusting me with this. I stepped inside, taking in the warm lighting, the comfortable furniture, the subtle scent of vanilla candles burning somewhere in the house. This wasn't a clinical environment at all. This felt like being welcomed into someone's home. Dr. Amanda, I said, suddenly feeling awkward about the informal setting. Should I still call you that here? She smiled, closing the door behind me. Here, you can call me Amanda. The formality is part of what we're trying to move past, remember? She led me through a living room decorated with soft colors and comfortable furniture, past a kitchen where I could see wine glasses sitting on the counter, to what I assumed would be her home office. But when she opened the door, I realized this wasn't going to be anything like our usual sessions. The room was softly lit with table lamps and candles. Instead of a desk and chair setup, there was a comfortable sofa and armchair arranged conversationally. Soft music was playing at barely audible levels. It felt more like a cozy living space than any kind of professional environment. Have a seat wherever you're comfortable, Amanda said, gesturing toward the seating options. Can I get you something to drink? Water, tea, wine? Wine? I asked, surprised. Marcus, you're not going to be able to work on intimacy issues while maintaining rigid professional boundaries. Part of learning to be vulnerable means learning to relax, to be yourself. She moved toward a small bar cart in the corner. Red or white? Red, I guess, I said, settling onto the sofa and trying to process this dramatic shift in our dynamic. Amanda poured 2 glasses of wine and joined me, sitting on the opposite end of the sofa rather than in the separate chair. She handed me my glass, and again I felt that electric moment when our fingers touched. So, she said, settling back into the cushions in a way that was relaxed and natural. Tell me how you're feeling right now. What's different about being here versus being in my office? I took a sip of wine, trying to organize my thoughts. Everything feels different. You seem different, less professional. Is that making you uncomfortable? Yes and no, I said honestly. It's making me nervous, but not in a bad way, more like alert. Amanda smiled. Good. That alertness, that heightened awareness, that's what happens when your defensive mechanisms start to lower. Your body is responding to a more intimate environment. The way she said intimate sent a shiver through me. Is this really therapy? Marcus, she said, setting down her wine glass and turning to face me more directly. What do you think intimacy is? Physical closeness? Emotional connection? It's vulnerability, she said. It's allowing someone to see you without your masks, without your defenses. It's being present in a moment with another person without trying to control or predict what happens next. She shifted slightly closer on the sofa. Right now, in this moment, how present are you? Are you analyzing this conversation, trying to figure out where it's leading? Or are you just here with me? I realized she was right. My mind was racing, trying to categorize what was happening, trying to maintain some sense of control over the situation. I'm analyzing, I admitted. I know you are. I can see it in your posture, in your expression. You're treating this like a puzzle to solve rather than an experience to have. She moved closer again, close enough that I could smell her perfume, something warm and subtle that I'd never noticed in her office. What would happen if you stopped trying to figure this out and just experienced it? I don't know, I said, my voice coming out quieter than I'd intended. That's exactly the point, she said softly. You don't know. You can't control it. And that terrifies you. She was close enough now that I could see the golden flecks in her blue eyes, could feel the warmth radiating from her body. Amanda, what exactly are we doing here? We're practicing vulnerability, she said. We're creating a space where you can experience intimacy without the pressure of a relationship, without the fear of judgment or rejection. With you? With me. She reached out and gently touched my hand. Marcus, I've been your therapist for 6 months. I know your fears, your patterns, your defense mechanisms better than anyone. If you can't be vulnerable with me in this safe space, how will you ever be vulnerable with someone you're dating? Her hand was warm on mine, and I felt that electric connection again, stronger this time. But you're my therapist? Isn't this unethical? Traditional therapy isn't working for you, she said, her thumb gently stroking across my knuckles. Sometimes healing requires unconventional approaches, but only if you consent. Only if you trust me. I looked into her eyes, seeing something there I'd never seen during our office sessions. Not just professional interest, but genuine care and something else. Desire? I trust you, I said. She smiled, and it was radiant. Then let yourself be here, Marcus. Stop analyzing, stop protecting yourself, and just be present with me. What happened next challenged everything I thought I knew about therapy, about boundaries, about the difference between professional help and personal connection. Amanda was right. I couldn't learn to be vulnerable through talking alone. Sometimes you need to experience it, with someone who sees all your flaws and chooses to care about you anyway. The evening became a masterclass in intimacy that had nothing to do with physical techniques and everything to do with emotional presence. Amanda guided me through exercises in eye contact, in honest communication, in allowing myself to be seen without trying to manage the impression I was making. Your problem isn't that you're bad at relationships, she told me as we sat together later that evening, her head resting against my shoulder in a way that felt both therapeutic and deeply personal. Your problem is that you've never learned that being truly known by someone is a gift, not a threat. How do you know so much about this? I asked, running my fingers through her soft hair. Because, she said quietly, I spent years in a marriage where I was never truly seen, never truly known. I understand the fear of vulnerability because I lived with someone who punished me for it. That confession opened something between us that went beyond the therapeutic relationship we'd started with. Amanda wasn't just my therapist anymore. She was a woman who understood loneliness, who had her own fears about being truly known by another person. Is this really about my therapy? I asked. She lifted her head to look at me, her eyes serious. It started as therapy, but somewhere along the way it became about two people who recognized something in each other. What happens now? I asked. Now, she said, we figure out if what we've discovered together can exist outside this room, in the real world. That was 3 months ago. Amanda and I are still navigating what it means to transition from a therapeutic relationship to a personal one. She referred me to another therapist to continue working on my issues, and we've been taking things slowly, building something genuine between us. Some people might say what happened between us was inappropriate, that she violated professional boundaries. But Amanda gave me something no amount of traditional therapy had been able to provide. The experience of being completely vulnerable with another person and discovering that I was still worthy of care and affection. Do you regret it? I asked her recently as we were making dinner together in her kitchen. Crossing those lines? Marcus, she said, turning from the stove to look at me, I've never been happier. Sometimes healing requires us to break the rules to find unconventional paths to wholeness. She was right about one thing. My issues with intimacy couldn't be solved through talking alone. Sometimes you need hands-on experience with someone who sees your brokenness and chooses to help you heal anyway. If you have similar secrets or unexpected connections, share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Secret Stories for more intimate confessions and hidden moments. Thanks for watching.